Okay, I'm starting with the first question. This one will go to you, Linda. Which of the following is a fully managed database in AWS that can be used to store JSON documents? So what's the key part in this question? What should guide you in your answer?
Can I answer?
That's for Linda first, Maureen. Just waiting on her. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Oh, Linda, can you hear us? Seems we can't hear Linda. Oh, you can type. I can hear you struggling. Okay. If not, yeah, since we can hear, if not, yeah, go ahead, Maureen. You can answer.
Amazon Dynamo DB.
Mm-hmm.
That's my own proposal.
So what guides you to answer Amazon Dynamo DB? What's key in the question? Remember, it's always important to point the part of the question that gives you that makes you give that answer.
Yeah, when I talk of fully managed database in AWS that can be used to store JSON documents.
Okay.
Storage. It was for storing JSON documents.
JSON documents. Okay, thank you. You say DynamoDB. I see similar. We also say B. Any other view or support? What about the others? What about the others? Okay, thank you. Right. So let's go to the next one. So DynamoDB is a key value document database that delivers a single-digit millisecond performance at scale. Also remember that single-digit milliseconds performance. Yeah, performance of database is always very important, and if it gives performance that is this law is good. It is fully managed, multi-region, multi-master, durable database with built-in security backup and restore. So it is perfect to use for JSON documents. So yeah, key things to always remember about DynamoDB, JSON documents, key value, single-digit milliseconds. Yeah. Aurora is for MySQL and PostgreSQL. It's relational. It's not for JSON. Elastic Cache is a fully managed Redis and Memcache. It's a caching service. Each time you hear of Elastic Cache, the caching service, right? That is a caching service used in databases. Redshift, we have seen this a couple of times, is a data warehouse. Okay, next question is for you, Alvin. Which of the following is not a standard design principle when designing systems in AWS? Which of the following is not a standard design principle? Alvin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I didn't know you called my name. The network was breaking. Okay. I will go for D.
Okay, D. Okay. I see A comes up on the chat. What about the others?
Mine too is A.
Okay.
So it's not this.
Okay, more people come for A then. Let's look at what A says. So remember, not a standard design principle. So it's actually servers, not services. And then this is just what to know. There are various best practices when it comes to building applications in the cloud, and design for failure is one of them. Decouple your components, which is loose components, is one of them. Implement elasticity, and then think parallel. You know, those are standard design principles. So the one on servers and not services. Of course, when you are working in the cloud, you're always designing for failure. You always think of what happens if this fail. That's why, like when you are doing databases, you think of a secondary database in a multi-easy environment. You always, or you, rather than having your application in just one zone, you also put it in another zone, so that if one zone, if the zone where it's operating fails, it will use the other one. So you're always designing and keeping in mind that things can fail. Yeah. Okay. So it's just something to know. I can just copy this and put on chat for those who want to make material. I think I did this already, but nothing wrong in repeating. Which of the following is not part of the AWS cloud infrastructure? This one is for you, Kinyi.
Placement groups.
Okay. Placement groups. What about the others? Support. Okay, 4A is something that way. That's good. What about the others? Right on chat. Go ahead.
Sorry, Uncle. I wanted to say the 4C.
4C is okay.
Keyboard is
No worries. Okay, C. I see C. Manu, you are saying something?
Yeah, I support C. Yeah, I support C.
Okay, thank you. So, right, C is correct. So when you think of AWS, it's always made up of data centers. Who can explain what availability zones are? Availability zones are made of what? It's easy, just come up and say. All right.
Of one, they're made up of one or two data centers.
One or more data centers, right? It can be one available, it can be one data center, two data centers, at times three or more. What about regions? What about AWS regions? They are made of what?
Two or more availability zones.
Yes, two or more availability zones. Thank you, Kinyi. Everyone should remember those definitions. Yeah. Edge locations are mostly used by cloud. They are located much closer to the users, and they are used for caching purposes. Right. So let's move to the next question. This is similar. Which of the following are pillars of the AWS well-architected framework? Select two. You did the well-architected framework. That was the last.
Yes, before we started the revision.
So it should be fresh, right?
We have sustainability and performance efficiency.
Right. I see that supported. If my volume is low, please let me know, okay? Because at times it goes slow. I've just noticed. I think it was not the best, but I always have to adjust that. And if it's too loud, do let me know as well. I want to put it at 79% here. Okay, so Timlawi says A and C. I see that supported also on chat. Any other view? Please participate by writing or say something.
Mine is B and C.
B and C. Okay.
Yeah.
I see B and C. What about the other three people? Okay. You want to see the answers. So it's A and C. So there are 6 of them now. And I think Yolanda mentioned you can think of them in crops, right? Sustainability was added just of recent. So where crops C will be, where C will stand for cost optimization, R for reliability, O for operational excellence, P for performance efficiency, S for security, and then the next X again for sustainability. This was introduced. There were 5, now that we have 6. Yeah. And always remember what the well-architected framework itself is. It's developed to help cloud architects build secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient infrastructure for applications. So you have CAD, key, what's that again? Key concepts, architectural best practices for designing and building applications, right? So it's important to remember what the well-architected framework itself is. So I'll put that on chat. And then knowing those pillars is important. Okay, next question. If there is a question anyone has, you can always stop me. That's still Timlawi. Tutorials Jojo would like to test new mobile app on multiple devices at once in a coordinated fashion using AWS. Which of the following services will help speed up the process? So what's the key part in this question? And what should be the answer? So tell me first what's key, what's guiding your answer?
The device one. I'm gonna check it.
I say you should tell me first what is key in the question, then the answer. What's guiding you, say, device from? What's
Testing new mobile app. Testing. Test. Whenever I test.
testing?
Testing new mobile app on multiple devices at once.
Okay.
And then
All right. D, you say, so if you want to test new mobile app on multiple devices at once. So D, Okay, I see Alvin and the rest, and can you also support D? What about the others?
Yeah, for me, I support you.
Okay, good. Then let's move. Thank you. So yeah, it's D. So it's an application testing series that lets you improve. The key thing is to remember what security bulletin, quick site, and ground station are. In case for those who don't know, ground station is a set controlling satellite communications and processing data, and processing data, right? It's for controlling satellite communications and processing data using satellites. QuickSight is instead a business intelligence service for creating visualization and dashboards. I encourage you to remember this very well. Creating, when you're thinking of visualization and dashboards, it's almost similar to Cost Explorer, Amazon AWS Cost Explorer, but Cost Explorer has dashboards, but it's not a business intelligence tool, right? Security bulletin is a security announcement provider service. You can use that for mobile apps. So make sure you also know what those services are. The next question is still similar. Which of the following infrastructure correlates to a VPC subnet? So the key thing here is correlates to a VPC subnet.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, what are the meaning of correlates? I don't seem to get it.
It's surely part of the question. Understanding also what that is. Yeah. Kind of like relate, or kind of like that can be linked to or be likened to something, yeah, that can be likened to.
Sarah.
Okay. Sarah, you say. What do the others say? I see A. What about the others? What about the others? I see only C has been given an A. I need 2 more answers. At least 3 people should answer, then we'll continue. D, okay. I just want to see the view of this, of the team. So remember, correlate is like to liken, to be similar, right? Okay, I see you're struggling with this. So it's actually A, availability zone. So remember, to be likened to a VPC subnet, the first thing is, do you know what a VPC subnet is, right? And then when you know what a VPC subnet is, you should start thinking. So normally you always have a VPC, right? And a VPC always come with a block network address, right? With a full address. Remember, in creating a VPC, you have to state the block where it will take IP addresses from. So you always have it like a network block. Now you can take that IP address, if you check the networking lecture, and break it into subnets. And then those subnets will have those subnets fall for an availability zone, right? So availability, if you notice here, we have a block address for the whole of this VPC at 172.31.0.0.0/16. That is the whole block address. And then when you have availability zone A and availability zone B. So the addresses that will go to availability zone A You then take this block address and you split it into subnets, and that's why you have a /20 here and a /20. So you can find that in the networking module. I should say, check the material that was presented by Tio, I think, and look into that. Yeah. So make sure that for areas you have difficulties, you review the material. That's fine. Okay, I didn't check the other sections, but a region is just something else. A VPC is regional, so it will be more of the whole block itself. A server is just a server. It says each location is just in the availability zone in the cloud by CloudFront, so it's not part of that. Okay. Yeah, the last question for Tim Lawil. Which of the following options helps cloud architects build secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient infrastructure for their applications based on the 6 pillars? Which of these will do that?
AWS well-architected framework.
Okay. I think anyone here has a different view. What about the others? Answer on chat or say something. I need more answers.
Yeah. Can I propose? Can I say my own answer is C?
Yeah.
What C?
Okay, support C. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
What about you, Tamojang? Okay. So thank you, Tamoya. So I encourage everyone to participate. So yeah, let's check and see that. That's so we just passed that. So that's why it's important to know the definitions, because here, if you know this, you always know it's well architected framework. Serverless application model is something else. It's an open source framework that you can use to build serverless applications on AWS. So just like the name says, it's an open source framework to build serverless applications. Security Hub is a service that performs security best practices checks, aggregates alerts, enables automated remediation. You can use this to assess the state of your workload. Cloud adoption framework is to help organize, design, and travel an accelerated path to successful cloud adoption. It's always referred to as CAV, right? So you can find time and just when I share the PDF and also learn about those, you may need them. Thank you. So now we come to you. Yeah, this is for you, Maureen. Which of the following is one of the benefits of migrating your system from an on-premises data center to AWS cloud? So benefits of migrating your system from an on-premises data center to cloud. A says eliminates the need for the customer to implement client-side or server-side encryption for their data. Enables the customer to eliminate high IT infrastructure costs since cloud computing is absolutely free. Completely eliminates the administrative overhead of patching the guest operating system of their EC2 instances. Enables the customer to focus on business activities rather than on the heavy lifting of racking, stacking, and powering servers. Which one will be a benefit? That's for you, Maureen. I see 2 people say D. Okay. Yeah, Maureen, you're saying something? Oh, I think we lost her. Okay, so I think we lost her. So yeah, I see majority say D, and indeed it's D, right? Benefits of migrating. That should be in our first model we did, an introduction to cloud computing. Very important to know the 6 advantages of cloud computing. Trade capital expense for variable expense. We have seen that in questions. Benefits of massive scale, economies of scale, and then know what that means, right? Stop guessing capacity, increase speed and agility, stop spending money running and maintaining data centers, go global in minutes. Yeah. You can't go for to the exam if you don't know the advantages of cloud computing. It's the very first, one of the first things as well. Okay. We move to the next question. I think we have just lost many people. Is it that they find this down for today easy? If that's the case, that would be good. So I'm coming back to you, Alvin. Which statement below is correct regarding the components of the AWS global infrastructure? So the statement that is correct. 1, A says an AWS region contains multiple availability zones. B says an availability zone contains multiple regions. C says an edge location contains multiple regions. The last one says an availability zone contains edge locations. Which one will be correct?
A would be correct.
Okay. What about the others? Tim Lawir. Thank you. Linda, I don't know if you can speak. You try speaking, but we lost you. If not, just type something as well. Just like well, if you are ready to participate, you can then join the others as well. Okay. Next question. So that is yeah, an availability zone. Sorry, a region contains multiple availability zones. We were just discussing that not long ago. A company is in the process of choosing the most suitable AWS region to migrate its applications. Which of the following factors should they consider? Select 2. So in general, when you want to migrate to AWS, there are so many different regions. What should always guide you to decide which particular region to choose? So that's for you, Kinui. A says proximity to your end users for on-site visits to your on-premises data center. B says enhance customer experience by reducing latency to users. C says availability zone security. D is support country-specific data sovereignty compliance requirements. E says potential volume discounts for the specific region. Which 2 will guide you?
B and D. Enhance customer experience by reducing latency to users and support country-specific data sovereignty compliance requirements.
Okay, thank you. What about the others? Okay, B and D is supported. All right. So let's go to the next. Is B and D. What should always guide you is you are looking for a region that is closer. So if you are in Europe, you pick a region closer to you. There's a region in Ireland, this one in Frankfurt, Belgium, and of course, I'm sure there's in London. So you pick a region closer to you. And yeah, depending on source of data sovereignty compliance requirements. The others, not really. Okay. The next question then is for I think we are coming back to you, Tim Lawi. Which of the following controls does the customer fully inherit from AWS based on the shared responsibility model? Again, it's a shared responsibility model. Which controls do you benefit from, or do you inherit when you take AWS? Okay, so now it says B. I see A. Okay, so I've got a series of B, A, B, A. That's interesting. So remember, is does customer fully inherit? Now, we'll have to look at, we did cover, so it's B. We did cover, it's on our chart. Okay, we don't have that here. The parts that are shared, the parts that are controlled by AWS, and the part that is called awareness and training is a shared responsibility. AWS have to train their staff about the cloud infrastructure, and then as a customer, you have to train your own staff as well. So awareness and training is a shared responsibility. You don't inherit all of that because you have to train your staff. But when you're an AWS customer, you don't bother about the physical environment of the data centers, right? It's not your problem because AWS fully take care of that. You know, the security, the cooling that's all taken off by AWS. Configuration management is also a shared responsibility. AWS will configure the host and the infrastructure, but then you configure the guest operating system. Also, patch management is also shared, right? So for physical and environmental controls is the right answer. I hope for those who said A, I hope you get that, you understand that. So it was, what control do you fully inherit? Yeah. So this is a shared responsibility. Remember to look at that again when I share the PDF. The next question is still for Tim now. Which of the following does AWS automatically handle for you? Select two. So the things that AWS automatically handle for you. A is introduce updates and patches to EC2 guest operating systems. B is make sure your data is safely kept and replicated between AZs. C, introduce updates and patches to EC2 hypervisors. Secure AWS data centers from environmental hazards, that's D. And the third one is provide web application firewall protection to your public endpoints. So which are the ones that AWS automatically handle?
C and D. Introduce, update, and patches to EC2 hypervisor, and then secure AWS data center for environmental hazards.
Okay, I see that supported by Kinyui. Thank you. Any other support or different thoughts? Okay, thank you, Arvin. Okay, so let's check and see. Yeah, just what I was saying. EC2 hypervisors, environmental hazards. Guest operating system, who takes care of that? Who introduced updates and patches to the guest operating system?
The client.
Yeah, the customer or the client. Make sure your data is safely kept and replicated. That's still the work of the customer. You have to configure that. AWS provide a web application firewall, but you are responsible for configuring it. So the key word here is automatically handle, right? So I keep emphasizing, always make sure that you capture the key point of the question. Don't be in a rush to always answer. Thanks all. So the next question still for team now. Auto scaling based on demand is an implementation of which AWS cloud best practice? Auto scaling based on demand is an implementation of which AWS cloud best practice? So when you are doing auto scaling, what are you thinking in mind? What's in mind?
Mukana, implement elasticity.
Okay. Okay, I see A supported. All right. Any other different view? Okay, A is supported. So let's check and see. So it's implement elasticity. That's what auto scaling is. So when you're doing elasticity, that's what it does. So remember what scaling is. You have horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, right? Horizontal scaling means you are adding more instances. Vertical scaling means you are upgrading to a higher instance type. And what you are always upgrading is the RAM or the CPU. So if you are using an EC2 instance with a RAM of say 4 gigabytes and you update that to 8 gigabytes, that's vertical scaling. If you are using an EC2 of 4 gigabytes and you add another EC2 of 4 gigabytes, both of them will still give 8 gigabytes. That's horizontal scaling, right? So when you're adding instances, you are doing horizontal scaling. And when you are increasing the different components, the size of the different components, you are doing vertical scaling. Very important basic concept to know. Okay, the last question for Team Lawyer. Which of the following is key use case of AWS Control Tower? So what is the key use case of AWS Control Tower? A way for customer to send instructions to an AWS account on how to deploy popular technologies such as WordPress, a centralized login service for all types of log files, an easy way to establish a landing zone that implements an AWS well-architected multi-account environment and applies the AWS best practices? Or is it a fast monitoring engine used to dictate if any of your AWS account deviate from AWS best practices? What will be the use case of Control Tower? That's for Team Lawi. The last question for you.
The answer is C.
Okay, say C. What about the others? Okay, I see C. All right, let's check and see. That's good. It's C. So remember, AWS is always introducing new services, and this one is so they are always there to improve on what exists. So AWS Control Tower is an improvement of which service? Who knows where? It's an improvement of which service? Who knows what a Control Tower came to improve?
AWS organizations.
Thank you, Kenya. Yeah, AWS organizations, right? Yeah, AWS organization is great for multi-accounts, but then to have a service that will operate, that will help you have a well-architected framework and apply best practices that was created later. So It's an improvement of organizations. And remember, organizations were created because they noticed that customers were using many accounts. So at times it's not always easy to just find one service that have all the answers. As time moves on, AWS always see how to be better, and they keep introducing services. And for those who have been following the reInvent, many new services and improvements were also announced in Las Vegas. So yeah, you always keep seeing that. So that's what Control Tower is all about. The keyword is establishing a landing zone. It's like the first creating the different accounts. Like if you are moving to AWS, a customer is moving to AWS for the first time, you hear that they are creating a landing zone for that customer, or if you are migrating, and it will contain, set up a multi-account environment that will apply best practices. Okay, yes, the others don't hold. So that was all for team now. I think I'm coming back to. So I'm coming back to you, Alvin. Yeah, we don't have many people. How is expense shifted when moving from traditional servers to the cloud? So when you move from traditional servers to the cloud, how is expense shifted? Is it operational expense is traded for variable expense? Variable expense is traded for capital expense. Capital expense is traded for operational expense, or capital expense is traded for variable expense?
Capital expense is traded for variable expense.
All right. What about the others? Okay. I see this is support. Thank you, Tim. Let's check. Yeah, that's D. Capital expense is traded for variable expense. So, I mean, that's just the definition. All the other ones are wrong. Capital expense is traded for variable expense. It's in our introductory model, right? Next question, coming to you, Kinyui. Which of the following cloud design principles support growth in users traffic or data size with no drop in performance? So a design principle, we have seen different design principles. Which one will support growth in user traffic or data size with no drop in performance?
Scalability.
That's A, you say, right? Yeah. Okay, what about the others? Okay. I see Tim now where says A, Guada join, welcome, says A as well. Okay, let's check that. So remember the key point. Thank you as well, Arvin. A design principle that supports users' growth. All right. So that's A. So you are always doing scalability. The principle of scalability is if you have one EC2 instance, and if the load increases, like if many people are coming, scalability is something that's applied a lot during this period where many people are shopping online. So the more people are shopping, the more requests are sent to the servers. And if you had just one server, and it happens that the number of requests are very high, and then another instance will be created to support that. There could be 3, there could be 4, then so that traffic is not dropped. And the good thing is, as less people start shopping, the number of servers will also reduce. So scalability is a great future. Okay, this one is coming to Tim now here. So the first person a company wants to launch a Microsoft SQL Server database in AWS. The database instance should only be managed by the company's DBA and must be accessible through RDP. A standard license for SQL Server is required, but the company is not yet sure how much CPU and memory to allocate to the database. Which option gives the most convenience and flexibility to determine the best database size while still being cost effective? This question sounds like for anyone who has done database. So yeah, so the first thing is the database has to be managed by the company's DBA. It must be accessible by RGP, and you are looking for a standard license for SQL Server. Is required, but the company is not yet sure how much CPU and memory to allocate. So what will you do? Will you launch an RDS instance that runs MySQL Server standard, purchase a standard MySQL license and store it in the AWS managed service? Or will you launch an Amazon Aurora database that runs MySQL Server, Microsoft MS SQL Server, buy a standard MS SQL license from the AWS License Manager service? Or will you use a Windows Server with SQL Server standard bundle AMI so you won't need to buy and manage your own license? Or will you launch an EC2 instance and install MS SQL Server, purchase a standard MS SQL Server from Microsoft and apply it to the database you install? Which of the following things will you do? That's Team Lawe. Oof. Did you send an answer already? What did you say? I said,
Talking about idea, but you go with it. As long as I don't have an idea, I go ban that, I'll go with it.
okay. You say you don't have an idea, but you are proposing A. That's okay. It's good to always try. What about the others? Okay, I see C. I see C. 2 C's and 1 A. So let's take the majority and then figure out. So the key thing is it should be managed by the DBA, and the company is not yet sure which CPU and memory to allocate. Yeah. So it's actually C. So yeah, Amazon is used to follow that. So you use this, that's the correct one. The others are not correct. Launch an EC2 instance and install MS SQL, purchase that from and apply to it. It's incorrect because this is not the most convenient method of launching an MS SQL in AWS. You typically use a solution if you already have an SQL Server license. This is when you are bring your own license, right? Launch an RDS instance. This is different. This is wrong because they have stated that the DBA should manage it, right? When you use an RDS instance, then it will be managed by AWS. So you can use. It's stated that the company's DBA should manage it. So a relational database instance is managed by AWS. So this takes it out already. Amazon Aurora is compatible, but with Postgres SQL and MySQL, it has nothing to do with Microsoft SQL. So that's how you can immediately eliminate the others. From these questions, immediately you see the question says, this is very important. The database instance should be managed by the company's DBA. Now, relational database instance is always, when you have used a relational database, is managed by AWS. So the company DBA will not be able to manage that instance. Amazon Aurora, on the other part, is compatible with Postgres SQL and MySQL. And then if you are using purchase a standard MySQL license, you always use that when you are bring your own license and you need a dedicated instance. But normally, a standard AMI, is what you can use. So I'll let you review that, but that's the guidance on how you can eliminate the orders. I always say that at times you go to the exam, you may see questions, but you can use the process of elimination. And even if you don't know if this was the correct one, but you can eliminate this because you know that this, when you use a relational database, it means the company cannot manage it again, the company DBA. You eliminate this based on the fact that you know very well Amazon Aurora is for Postgres SQL and SQL and MySQL. MySQL is different from MS SQL. Aurora is compatible with that. You eliminate this because you know this when you are using dedicated instance. And even if you are doubting this, but you'll be sure that you can eliminate the others, you pick that. So that's a strategy you can still use in exams for very difficult questions. You use the process of elimination and pick the one that sits where you can't figure out how to eliminate it. Yeah. All right. Next question. Which of the following is the responsibility of the customer in the AWS cloud? Select two. That's it now. Yeah. Disposal of disk drives, ensuring that AWS service comply with the standard required of them, managing users in their account, managing data stored in the AWS resource, upgrading chipsets to the latest commercial available product. So which of the following responsibility of the customer in the cloud? It's for similar way. I think we still have two people before we go.
The answer is C and E. Managing users in their AWS accounts and updating chipset to the latest commercially available product.
Okay, I see different way. I see, okay, it says C and E, I see C and G. Can someone say why they have not chosen E? Three people have chosen D. Can someone explain why it's not E? Maybe, oh, yeah.
I have not gone for E because chipset there is hardware and AWS is responsible for maintaining the hardware.
Absolutely. So E, upgrading, sorry, I was supposed to go for the majority. So E is not correct because E is hardware. And as stated, when you are using AWS, you don't have anything to do with the hardware. The hardware is managed by AWS, and upgrading chipset is the work of AWS. But the question was responsibility of the customer. But data, remember when you put data in AWS, you are the one in charge to manage it. Yeah. So the chipsets to latest commercial available product, that is for AWS. It's not for the customer. Okay. So yeah, so if you notice, hardware, AWS global infrastructure is AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. But data, server client side data encryption, server side, all of that data, that's the work of the customer. Everyone make sure that you know inherited controls. What are shared controls? I've shared that a couple of times as well. Those are important points. Good. The next question. Which service should you use if you need a scalable, fast, and flexible non-relational database service? That's still Team Lawil. You need a scalable, fast, and flexible non-relational database service.
Amazon DynamoDB.
Okay. What about the others? No, that's good. Okay, others say T. Keyword non-relational database DB. RDS, sorry, non-relational database, not non-relational data. So non-relational database, Amazon RDS is a relational database. S3 is used for what? What is S3 used for?
S3 is storage.
What kind of storage?
Object.
Object. Yes, thank you. Object storage for static data. So that's what I was, yeah, object storage. Redshift is used for what?
Data warehousing.
Data warehousing, right? So I asked that because I know you can look at this and recognize them, but when you explain them, it's much more better, right? Because always remember that if you go to an interview also, they ask questions, you're able to express them with ease. So when I'm asking is just to keep that practice of, yeah, if you know it, you should be able to explain it, right? Don't be in a situation, I know it, but I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, so that's why I just keep repeating some of those questions. Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next one. I think we answered everyone in. Did I skip someone in Team Lawe? Everyone answered, right?
No, Zidane didn't answer.
Okay, okay, this for you, Zidane. Which AWS service lets you provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch your AWS resources? So,
we have Amazon VPC.
okay, that one. Okay, what about the others? I see B supported. So the question is, lets you provision a logically isolated section, right? A logically isolated section. I see it's supported by many. So that's the definition of Amazon VPC. VPC lets you provision a logically isolated section of AWS cloud. Okay, thank you. So the next question is for you, Ngwada. Your organization would like to boost productivity by improving business communications channels and customer service experience. Which of the following AWS applications will you suggest? Select two. Okay. So your organization would like to boost productivity by improving business communications channels and customer service experience. So which of the following? So you have transfer family market. Okay, Chime, Connect, and Workspace. Okay, C and D, you say. So you have to boost business communications. What about the others? Can you support that? Remember, you can always use elimination method. I just explained that. Okay, let's check and see. It's C and D. And now for the others, I was saying you can use elimination method because if you know what transfer family is, you know this is used for migration. Marketplace is when you are buying software. Amazon Workspaces goes to virtual desktops. right? But then even if you don't know what chime and connect is, you are left with two. You can then just say, okay. So you make what is called an intelligent guess in case you don't know. But now if you know, like Guada, so chime here is a high quality communications service that transforms online meetings with an easy to use app that works seamlessly across all your devices. And Amazon Connect is an easy to use omni-channel cloud contact center that helps companies provide superior customer service across voice, chat, and task at a lower cost than traditional contact uh, center systems. So I'll copy this. So the key thing is to know what these services are. So I'll put this on chat. I don't know what's happening to Tamo Young. I think it's connection, of course, because we keep missing him. I just noticed he was writing that he was at the door, but I didn't notice that I've unmuted him a couple of times. All right. So the next question is for you. I noticed you joined, so this is for you. The use of multi-trading in your Amazon S3 requires, the use of multi-trading in your Amazon S3 request through the multi-path upload API is an example of which AWS cloud best practice. The use of multi-trading, so you should know what multi-trading is. In Amazon S3 request through the multi-path upload, know what multi-path upload is a best practice. Which cloud best practice is that following? Yeah. Is it think parallel, implement elasticity, decouple your components, allow for evolutionary architectures? Which one will be the correct one? Okay, MBJ, I don't know if you can answer. If not, okay, thank you. You give D. Okay, I see A. I see two A's. So I take the majority. So, and then we'll explain. Yeah, the key part of this question is knowing what Amazon S3 multi-path upload is, right? And who knows, when should you use multi-path upload in S3? Or who can explain what that is? I think that's better. What's multi-path upload? Okay. When you have files that are, I think 10 gigabytes, let me see, from 10 gigabytes, is it written here? Okay, but it's mainly for large files. When you have files that are of such size 10 gigabyte, what you do is rather than uploading it at once, what S3 multi-path upload does is that the file is splitted into smaller files, and then they are uploaded separately, because smaller files are easily uploaded. So this is like the original object is then split into smaller files, and then they're uploaded separately, and then at the final point they are assembled in S3, and then yeah, that leads to faster upload times. And multi-thread multi-path upload is requested to be used, I think, for files that are from size 10 gigabyte. That's what I'm looking for, because that's an important AWS multi-path upload size. I don't know if that's the right. Okay, 5 megabits to 5 gigabyte. Yeah, so when it starts when you are uploading a file to AWS and and it's at least 5 GB here. I think that's it. You can then you can use multipart. What size file should you use multipart? I think I'm getting when your object size reaches 100 MB. I have to make sure that let's make sure we get that correct. I myself I don't remember exactly. So I think the other part of 5 GB is something else. Let me see. Yeah, in general, when your object size reaches 100 MB, you should consider using multi-part uploads, right? So, and it's explained here, the upload process. So as I was explaining, the file is then split into smaller parts and then it's uploaded separately. That's when you use multi-part when your file size reaches 100 MB. Yeah, I forgot the figure, but yeah, that's what multi-part is. Okay, let's keep going. We have 7 more questions to go, or 8, 19 minutes. What service provides the lowest cost storage option for retaining database backups, which also allow occasional data retrieval in minutes? This is for you, it's Ubada, I think. Yeah. Or did I?
So S3, that's your Facebook travel. D.
C, okay. I see support of D. Okay, D supported. What about the others? Lowest cost storage option for retaining database backups, which allows occasional data retrieval. Make sure that for those who are doubting, make sure that you review the different storage classes and what they are. I think I can put this diagram in chat, although I know there's more. A company is planning to deploy its high-frequency trading application, which will store constantly changing financial data in AWS and requires low latency access. Which AWS service below should you use? Select 2. That's for you, Kimmy. The company is planning to deploy its high-frequency trading application, which will store constantly changing financial data in AWS and require low latency access. Which service should you use? Select 2.
Amazon RDS and Amazon EFS.
Okay. What about the others? Remember, you have to select 2. A and C. Yeah, deploying high frequency trading application, constantly changing data in AWS and require low latency. So let's see, it's A and C. Okay, I want to speed up a bit so you will check the slide. So now anyone can answer. I'll leave it for everyone to participate. If you see the answer, let me know. Which of the following cloud-based practices reinforces the use of the service-oriented architecture design principle? Service-oriented architecture design principle, you have to know what that is. So which cloud-based practice reinforces this? When you think of service-oriented architecture, what are you looking at and what helps in that? It's an open question. Feel free to answer. Anyone.
You may either log in.
Copy your components.
I'll try A.
A. Okay. What about the others?
It's B for me. To copy your components.
I hear B. What about the others? Let someone break. I have A and B. I need to pick one. Reinforces the use of service-oriented. When you are thinking service-oriented, what are you doing? What is happening? Okay, I see B as well. Thank you. So it's B. So when you talk of service-oriented, when you decouple components, right, you are breaking it into smaller parts. And service-oriented architecture is you are focusing on services rather than the box, you know. So and when you break an application into smaller components, you're actually breaking it into smaller services. So decoupling components is actually reinforcing the idea of service-oriented architecture. And AWS encourages that you should focus more on that, right? You should always, service-oriented architecture is much more forward. Because when you have everything in one box, it means that if something happens, everything in the box is like a single point of failure. Yeah. Okay, good, thank you. So let's go to the next question. What cloud computing model deals with services such as EC2 instances? So EC2 instance is an example of which cloud computing model? Is it ICE, DBS, PaaS, SaaS? Okay. I see majority says A, infrastructure as a service, right? Make sure you, what is an example of platform as a service? Which service is an example of platform as a service?
Elastic Beanstalk.
Elastic Beanstalk, that's correct. That's an example of platform as a service. Which of the following are defined as global services in AWS? Select two. Right. So which are global services? Is it AWS Identity and Access Management, DynamoDB, RDS, Batch, or Amazon CloudFront?
I am AWS Identity and Access Management and Amazon CloudFront.
Okay. What about the others? A and E, I see that's common. Right. Let me check. That's correct. DynamoDB and RDS are what kind of services? Are they global, regional, or zonal?
Regional.
Okay, that's good. Who wants to explain how do you figure this? Regional, or who can give examples of zonal services? Sorry, of zonal services, yeah, zonal services. An example.
EC2, S3. No, not S3.
EC2 and EBS, yeah?
EBS, yeah.
Right. So remember, there are just a way, remember the services that are global. These are the services that are global. CloudFront H is also a global service. It's not listed here, but CloudFront H is a global service. Zonal service, EC2, EBS, all the others are regional. Okay. 28, the IT security team of your company needs to conduct a vulnerability analysis on your application servers to ensure that the EC2 instances comply with the annual security IT audit. Remember, they need to conduct a vulnerability analysis on your applications. You need to set up an automated security assessment service to improve the security and compliance of your applications. The solution should automatically assess applications for exposure, vulnerabilities, and deviations from AWS best practices. So which service will you use? Inspector, Snowball, WAF, or CloudFront? Everyone should shout this answer. What's the correct answer? If you get it wrong, then you need to go and revise what we've been doing in security, especially. What's the correct answer? Okay, CA. Okay.
AWS Inspector.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. So we've been seeing Inspector, and each time Amazon Inspector is defined as an automated security assessment service. This question, if you notice, everything is going there, right? So you need an automated security assessment service. It should automatically assess applications for vulnerabilities. Inspector also handles vulnerabilities and also unintended network access. That's another third point that you can add. So that's question was dealing with that. The other services, just make sure you know what they are. Yeah. What is the right arrangement of the AWS global infrastructure components according to their geographical coverage area size in descending order? I'm sure most of you can answer this with your eyes covered. So I see.
B.
Okay. Regions, availability zones, edge locations.
Yeah, B.
Okay. No one should be doubting that. All right. Last question. Which of the following are regarded as regional services in AWS? Select two. Another easy one. Which are regional services here?
DFS and batch.
EC2 is zonal. Route is 3 is global security token. That's STS service. It's a global service. Yeah, this was saying a repeat so that we have everything in one place, because I'm sure we did this as a first revision. 2 questions were wrong here. So on 30, so I encourage everyone to, if you have problems with any part here, review that. We're coming back on Friday morning. We shall do 30 questions as well. And on Sunday, we'll try to do 35 questions and finish one set. It will be exactly the number of questions, the kind of set of questions you see in the exam. Some of them, I mean, what we have been doing is just been that. I mean, it's just that they are now arranged in a much more difficult level. So they are not just section based. You'll see the number of questions that will come from each section in the 65 set. So we'll do the first set and finish it by weekend. Then next week we'll try to do, if we can do 2 sets, or because every 2 days we should do 30 questions and then 35 in one day. We should be able to finish all of that in by the 25th. Yeah. And the only way you can really be ready is, what services are you trying to improve on? The revisions are not enough, right? You still have to study on your own. You still have to go back to the material, the PDF files. I hope all of you have them. And look at them and look at where you have your weaknesses and handle that. Yeah.